You guys seem to like the last video, so I'm making a part 2. Yay! Oh, what's this? These frames are different than before. Well, that's because I like torturing myself. I mean, I want to give better artwork to you who watch my damn videos. Anyways, on to the video. Starting off with possibly the weirdest on this list, again, Waybaloo. This was a late 2000s, early 2010s show that basically had the same goal as shows like In the Night Garden and Teletubbies. So this took place in a land called Nara, which could have been somewhere in Mountainous England, but let's be honest, it was probably somewhere in Who the Frick Knows land. The world where every vague location is located. Featuring these creatures called piplings, which are basically small animal hybrids who float when happy. A lilac rabbit named Lau Lau, an orange monkey named Jojo, a blue bear named Nottok, and a pink kitty named Deli. Though about halfway through the episodes, the obligatory children show up called Chibis. I could not make this up if I tried. Each episode revolves around their random, but I must admit, kinda charming shenanigans. As well as 2 random yoga segments called Yoga, that's a dumb name choice. One of just the piplings and then one of the Chibis. So while this show is inching a bit close to Teletubbies level of weirdness, I'd say it has enough charm to at least make it watchable. The piplings themselves are kinda cute, both in appearance and actions, and the CG is actually pretty okay for what it is. I don't know if I'm just being too kind to a show that's really just kinda there, but I'd say it's at least better than the Teletubbies in the weirdness department. A solid 4 out of 10. Anyways, moving on from that, the Wiggles! Now, they technically aren't a show, but an Australian travelling group of kids musicians, and I just realised while reading the script that 2 of my biggest childhood shows are Australian, and I never knew until just now. But they have made their fair share of shows. There's the one from the 90s, which I did not watch as a kid, so moving on. And then there's the 2000s show, which, if you remember the Wiggles at all, is probably why. And this is also how I got my share of... I'm not going to say it, don't worry. The group consisted of Greg, Murray, Jeff, and Anthony, as well as their random friends. Henry the Octopus, Wags the Dog, Dorothy the Dinosaur, and Captain Feathersword. Sure, they were really stupid characters, but let me tell you. Their songs are jams. If you know the Wiggles even just a little bit, then all the big songs, Hot Potato, Big Red Car, and such, they're just stuck in your head forever. I believe this is why I love singing so much. Even as a young kid, I had an interest in singing, and I think the Wiggles just engraved that even further. And they also helped influence me for a completely separate reason. But then in 2013, the show was replaced by Dumb Kid Show number 420, with Greg, Jeff, and Murray retiring, replaced by Lucky, Simon, and the first true female Wiggle, Emma. I'm sure they're doing great, but 2000's glory will always be 2000's glory. And sadly, their music doesn't slap as hard. OG Wiggles get an 8 out of 10. And from one passion starter to another, we have Pocoyo. So this is a Spanish kids educational show. The main character is... Walda. And apparently it roughly translates to little boy. Then we have an adolescent duck and an elephant diva. Absolutely nothing out of the ordinary here. It's kind of weird, but if you can look past it, it's at least a show that's trying. It might not hit every target, but it's shooting as hard as it can. Which is more than modern kids shows can say. The first 2 seasons are probably the best, if you ask me. Not my personal favourite, just the best. The 3rd season, like Go Pocoyo, is a lot more formulaic, with mini-games as a sort of interval, and of course, ending musical numbers. And according to Wikipedia, was designed to teach Spanish kids English. The 4th season, as far as I know, is still going on, but not too fond of it. Maybe because it released when I was too old, I don't know. If you want to check it out, the whole series is on YouTube. Generally, I'd say it's about 5 out of 10. The Magic Key. So this was originally a bunch of kids' books designed to teach basic literacy. They were apparently pretty popular, and even I read a few of them as a kid thanks to school having them. Fast forward a few years and I'm browsing YouTube, and apparently they made a show of the series back in 2000. Hooray? So, anyways, what's it even about? Well, there's this load of kids, Biff, Chip, who I found out while editing this video is actually voiced by Sophie Aldred, who is relevant because she voices the main character of TFT. Kinda funny how half of my life all leads back to the name Sophie somehow. Kipper, Wilf, Vilma, Nadim, and Nanina, and their dog Floppy. Kind of odd names, but okay. And they go on their regular everyday life adventures, learning words and phrasing crap, morals, yada yada. But wait, there's the curveball. Floppy has this magic key. I get it because the name of the show is around his neck. And once every episode, it would activate, sending some of the kids on some magical adventure to learn some moral or something. To be fair, it's actually pretty basic compared to all of the other shows I've covered. It's just some realism stories with the magical adventure thrown in the middle. The key itself doesn't have any background or backstory, there's not any secret element, and heck, the kids never all went on an adventure at once. At most, it's just 3 out of the 7. But basicness aside, it does its job pretty dang well. If it piques your interest, the whole one season is on YouTube. On average, I'd say it's about 5 out of 10. Octonauts. So this is a 2010 cartoon that's surprisingly still going today, based off of a line of books by Miyomi. This revolves around a titular group consisting of anther animals who are for some reason anther while the rest of the world is regular, exploring the ocean, saving real-life sea creatures, and showing product placement into your eyes every second of it. I have to be honest here though, the style of it is actually really cute. Even for what would otherwise be horrific creatures, they somehow make them adorable. Which, I suppose this being a toy commercial for 6-year-olds, they sort of had to. The characters are sometimes annoying, mainly Mr. I'm better than everyone else over here, but otherwise actually pretty good. And the stars of the toys, show, are the Gups, based off of real animals and each with a vaguely different purpose. Oh, and did I mention buy our toys?
Buy our toys!
Apart from that one big flaw, Octonauts is a pretty great show, and even recently got a few Netflix movies and a full-on spin-off focusing on general wildlife. 7 out of 10, worth a watch if you can find it. Numberjacks. I was debating on whether or not I should include this, seeing as there's plenty of memes about it, but sure, childhood show, whatever. So this was a late 2000s math show with horrific, uncanny CGI for the Numberjacks in their base, while everything else was in live action. Oh, and their base is in a random frickin' sofa, of all things. Well, either way, they go around solving random problems that range from what the f*** to what the f***. Usually these would be caused by a group of bad guys known as the Meanies. Dun dun dun. We have the Puzzler, an orange dude with bubbles for hair. The Problem Blob, who... Spooky Spoon, who... Ow, my ears! The Number Taker, who, I don't know. And the Shape Japer, who... God, why the villains so fucking horrifying? Yeah, this show clearly traumatized a whole bunch of kids in a whole bunch of different ways. But that aside, it's a pretty decent show. Not really much else to comment on, besides the nightmare feel. The whole thing is chilling on YouTube, so sure, check it out, I guess. I would say 4 out of 10, but the meme material... 6 out of 10. Okay, so before I reveal the last show, I'd just like to bring up something. A few people in the comments of my last video complained that the shows I showed weren't really old or even obscure, which, yeah, bad wording on my part. This series isn't necessarily about old or even particularly obscure shows, just the sort of shows that make you go, oh yeah, I remember that show. Anyone else? No? Okay. Or to put it in more specific words, shows I haven't seen anybody else talk about. Just because you review shows that you call old and obscure doesn't mean that you have to solely talk about 90 shows that only 4 people have noticed. And besides, something you consider new might not be considered as new by someone else. With that said, True as the Rainbow Kingdom! This is a 2017 Canadian Netflix series involving... well, duh! And her sidekick Bartleby. They go around Rainbow City, or more generally the Rainbow Kingdom, solving problems with the help of the winners of the most amount of kind of pointless but adorable characters in one species award. Also known as the Wishes, who provide many different effects, ranging from I can blast ice, or I can basically hypnotize people, to I just go boing boing. But there's a wide gap of other, at least interesting wishes between those. The main appeal of this show is just that everything is so f***ing adorable! Not even in just the character designs, which are cute enough, but the settings, the soundtrack, the voices, heck, the wishes on their own are enough to give Kirby a run for its money. I mean, just look at this! Look at this and tell me you don't want to be holding this precious Russian doll right now! Now, if you're not a fan of, sure, it's got no plot or point, but who cares? It's cute or whatever. Or just cute things in general, then there's probably nothing for you here. But even then, I'd say give it a shot. It is mainly just cute faces for 20 minutes, but there are likeable characters and quite a bit of world building hidden underneath it. Personally, I'd say it's a good 8 out of 10, but that rating will definitely vary from person to person. It's certainly at least an underrated gem of Netflix, and I just hope it doesn't do what a certain other underrated show did and quit while it's ahead when there's so much lore they could expand upon. Oh, I know we just dropped the whole season involving a whole new kind of magic and just opened the doors to a whole new range of possible lore and plot points, but we're gonna stop producing the show right now and leave it up to this girl to make a fanfiction continuation of it that she might not even do! That's a rant for another day. So phew, we're finally done. Don't think that I've run out of shows to talk about. On the opposite, I've got plenty to talk about. But do leave suggestions for shows you want me to talk about in the comments. Anyways, thanks for watching. Yes, the audio quality is bad. I'm 14 shows. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Enjoy the bloopers. A lilac rabbit named Lau. I freaked that up. And from one passion starter to another, we have Pocoyo. No. It's a pretty decent show. The whole... Why can't I talk? It's a lot more formulaic with mini-games as a sort of interval, and I lost the script. Personally, I'd say it's a good 8 out of 10, but that rating will definitely vary from person to person. Person? What's a person? A fairy? They go around Rainbow City, or more generally the Rainbow Kingdom, shelving problems. Yeah, that's what we do around here. Just because I revolve around these shows. Well, I do now.